JayCast.
3, 2, 1, go.
JayCast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to JayCast for this games, guess, and two guys with big headphones. Now, I know what all of you are thinking right now, and you are all about to start freaking out. No, Yeti Hyrule did not completely change his entire face. We brought back the Swollen Gamer. Woo! Look at that. He's
How's it
back.
going, guys?
It's only been a couple episodes, and he's already returned onto the podcast.
Yes.
Mainly because it's for emergency's sake. Yeti Hyrule is currently getting his tan self done over in Florida. So while he's gone, Mr. Swollen Gamer said, I got you. I'll support you. I'm going to make this thing more awesome. Usually this is the part where we just start making fun of Yeti Hyrule behind his back. So, yeah. let's just do that for the entire podcast. So let's talk about Yeti
Sounds
Hyrule
good.
for the first 25 minutes of this segment. What do we not like about? No, I'm kidding. Yeti Hyrule, we know you're having fun over in Florida. I'm sure you're gonna watch this episode. You're gonna hate us to death after it, but no big deal. I'll see you next week as usual. But anyway, on to today's subjects. We got a lot of different things to talk about today. Everything is going on again. We are definitely, again, busy. It's kind of nice when we're finally busy because we have stuff to talk about and not just random opinions about everything else. Although, then again, that is kind of half of what we do anyway. But, anyway, so, Mr. Swollen Gamer, first we have to start off with our introductory. How are you today?
I'm doing well on spring break, so I have a couple extra minutes to my disposal.
Very
And
nice.
yeah, how about you?
I just got back from spring break, actually. Today was my first day back from school. I was in Wisconsin last week, and of course, this was funny because I was trying to upload all of my podcasts and videos I had prepped. I rendered them all on Sunday when I was over at my brother's house, and once they were done, basically from there, just was trying to upload them on Monday and stuff, and then I think the podcast, because they have Time Warner cable, and if you don't know, I hate Time Warner cable. So they basically took about 1,000 minutes for each one to legitimately upload, no matter how many times I retried to make them.
Damn,
So
that sucks. In
yeah.
my internet's bad, but it's not that bad.
yeah, I did a speed test on it, and I think they had like a 5 download and a like 0.25 upload.
Right.
So,
That's questionable.
If that doesn't answer that question right away about how bad I think that was, then
Wow.
I think we should definitely.
Sounds like a struggle.
It was very real. I had to run my whole computer. Luckily, I did it at night, so I just let the thing run over the whole night, and then I got back and still was going. But then about an hour later, it was finally done. I was like, okay, thank goodness, I'm finally done with all that crap.
That's good.
But anyway, today we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. Let's get on to today's subjects, where we have games, guests, and two guys with big headphones, always pimping out with those headphones as usual.
Hell yeah, man.
So, let's start out with our first thing today. Swollen Gamer, you are an avid Five Nights at Freddy's player. A lot of your channel is based off of Five Nights at Freddy's, which I always appreciate behind it. You have good content behind that as well. A lot of people seem to enjoy it, obvious reasons. So you've played Five Nights at Freddy's 3, correct? Obviously.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what
A
was
lot.
your
Too much.
Yeah. I have not gotten the game yet. I have seen full playthroughs now, successful and unsuccessful, luckily. So I'm kind of basing it off of that and just analyzing different statistics behind it. I know that sounds like it's a bad thing, but when you watch like 3 different people play this specific game, you kind of get a grasp of it. But
Right.
this is so. That's my disclaimer, so that if I start saying ludicrous things, you can just be like, "Whoa, you didn't play the game, bro. Shut up."
All right. I'll
So,
be sure to do that.
what are your uh, thoughts about the Five Nights at Freddy's 3? Do you think this was a lot better, a little better, not better at all, sort of aspect in regards to Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
Compared to the second game, I thought it was a little skimpy. It wasn't as big of a game, I don't think, as the second one was. There was a lot more attention to detail, I feel like, but it wasn't just as big. I mean, yeah, okay, you had like the one animatronic and you had the hallucinations, and the gameplay mechanics were a lot different. So that was a nice refresher that it's not just rehashing the same thing over and over again. But I don't know. I liked it, but there's just something about it that I mean, I guess this is true for all Five Nights games. Like, it starts off really good, and then you get to a certain point where you just like the jump scares keep coming, and it just gets annoying, and you just want to beat the damn thing, but you can't,
Yep,
and you just have to keep going,
exactly.
like trucking through it. It stops becoming fun after a while, but that's just my
Hmm.
opinion, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I liked it overall. For my sake, it seemed kind of nice to have that newer sense, but in the I'm kind of basing off a formula. You know how each and every different animatronic can find a different way to kill you, and you had to pay attention to every single one and keep a
Right.
note on that. You know, obviously your most threatening one in the first one was Freddy coming to get you. The other ones are pretty predictable and likely to at least defend against. And then when you
Yeah.
came behind Freddy, you had to be at least a little more alert in regards to it. In this one, it was kind of the same thing where you had one animatronic that was truly threatening, but then you had a couple out of them that were just kind of like, "Hey, surprise! I scared
Right.
you."
I thought it was weird. I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe the game just hasn't been out long enough, but I felt like the second one did a really good job in terms of having rich story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the third game was just trying to be like it was trying too hard to be clever in terms of
Right.
how it presented the story. Like I feel like it should have been more direct because it really didn't answer, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, maybe I'm just dumb, which I am, but I feel like for the average player, they're not gonna know like exactly what happens. I mean, yeah,
Right.
okay, okay. I mean, are we allowed to say spoilers or are we keeping that out?
I mean, this is kind of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 thing. If they really badly don't want to hear this, they can skip over it. I'm totally cool with
All
that.
right.
Go like 3 minutes ahead of the
Spoiler
video if you
alert.
don't like
Yeah,
spoilers.
all right. So Springtrap, okay, you know the purple guy's inside Springtrap. You know if you get the good ending, well, I think he always dies, but you get the good ending, you see the animatronic heads and there's no lights in it, so it's like their souls went to heaven or something like that. It just felt kind
Yeah.
of gimmicky at the end.
Well,
I don't know.
the ending really didn't resolute anything, but here's the one thing that I'm kind of interested that I discovered recently. I don't know if you heard anything about
Because
what Scott had actually published recently, but apparently, from what I understand, someone was mentioning. Excuse me, I think my microphone is a little too low. It looks like I'm not making any sounds off it, so I'm just gonna make sure to change that real quick. But basically, what Scott was saying, just, come on, everything doesn't need to go at 3 miles an hour right now. Okay, am I much better? Yeah, I'm much better now. Okay, anyway, back to what I was saying. There was apparently a humongous rumor, and I cannot confirm this because I didn't see it myself physically, but someone took a screen cap and apparently said that Scott was already talking about making a Five Nights at Freddy's 4. That there
Mhm.
is potentially shooting for, I think they said it was supposed to be in the early to 2016, I think is what it said. I don't know. Did you see that by chance?
I didn't see any articles about it, but I know there was a teaser on his website with a hat on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And if you looked really closely at like the spotlight, it sort of looked like the shape of a four, kind of.
Hmm.
Um, so that might have been a thing. I don't know if there's going to be a fourth one. Maybe, probably.
There's not
is
a
all I could say.
well, and then again, I
Um,
can't confirm that this was specifically from that person, but from what I'm understanding, that there should be a fourth one. I feel like that
yeah,
there still is a side of me that is not quite sure to follow through completely with the story. I give props and kudos to the game theorists for creating what they had.
yeah.
I watching that the other day. The first one and the second one resolved the plot a lot better to me. Me personally, the story was pretty decent in two, but I never really got the full immersion behind it, I guess.
hmm
As
I
much
like the story.
hmm
Yeah,
the story is it's kind of cool that it's actually developed. Going back a couple years ago when Slender was a humongous thing, and
right.
regards to that, there really wasn't a really big story behind
hmm
it. They tried to accomplish a better story with it, and was it Slender Haunt? Is it the one that
Anxiety or no, no, no.
I think it is Slender Haunt. Oh no, no, no. Slender Haunt was the free one before that. The
Are you
newest.
talking about the second one?
Uh, Talk about the sequel one where it was like
Right.
it's like $10 on Steam and or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I forget what it's called.
But
It's
anyway,
like
going back to
the
that,
Arrival, I think. Slender the
yeah, Slender
Arrival.
the Arrival. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Going back to that, it kind of reminds me. Or sorry, I kind of lost track of my saying. What I was saying was I was about to go into something else, and I was like, wait. I was talking about
Yeah.
something else.
You're talking
Um,
about the story, like
yeah.
trying to
So
develop it.
there Five Nights at Freddy's each game added more story to it, and you're starting to understand what really happened. Where people
Yeah.
were confused after the first one about the bite of '87 and stuff like that, and again, I'm pointing
Yeah.
back to the game theorists how they thought it was a relation to something horror a long time ago. First of all, to Scott, if everything that I've seen so far about people making theories about this game and people just talking about this in general, if this is true that this guy legitimately intended all of us to be involved in it, a humongous props to him for developing it with all of this circled around it. Like, again, it's just theory, so I can't confirm it, and Scott's not going to say
Right.
anything because he wants the money. But, well, let's face facts. How quickly did he launch 2 and 3
Oh
after
yeah,
each
yeah.
other?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So, quite frankly, I can understand when there's a point, and maybe it's just because it's the indie market, and the indie market people just like the new thing next and fast and quickly. I
That's
could
in
be
every market though.
true, very true.
Every market ever. People are like that.
But then again, that also has the
Anything that
side.
has to do with consumerism.
But see, there's
But
always that
yep.
side that like makes you, if you wait longer, you want it more, and you want it
Oh
more.
yeah.
A lot more people get drawn to it versus if you make another one
Sure.
really quickly, it satisfies your response to the people that you're trying to make it for. But at the same time, though, what do you have next? Because once you do it a couple times, people are going to expect it. When they expect it, then if you don't do it, then people are just going to be like, whatever. It depends.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I personally didn't care much for how short the time window was in between games. Like I felt like it was way too, I don't know, man. Like he should have spaced them out more. They should have spaced the
I
games
agree.
out more, especially the third and second game. I feel like he could have done more with the third game if he just gave himself another 3 months. Like there was
hmm
no, I mean, the second game came out what? November
I believe so. It was
or
right before.
October?
It was right
I think,
before Christmas break or Christmas. It had to be at least October, November though, for sure.
yeah, well, yeah, around that time. I mean, really, you're gonna drop another game in like 3 months, 4 months time? That's really hard to do for any game, let alone a game that's like Five Nights. So
hmm
I don't know. I feel like he should have given himself more time and built more hype.
Right.
I feel like this was by far the least hyped Five Nights game. I think the
I
second one had the most because I mean no one knew
the
about Five Nights at Freddy's 1 before it came out. And
exactly.
then that was super like a super success. So that built up a ton of hype for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I feel like Five Nights at Freddy's 2 didn't resonate quite as well as the first one did, and so there wasn't as and plus the window I think was shorter between 2
hmm
and 3 than 1 and
Yep.
2. And it just I don't know, man. I feel like he should
I
have polished it more.
I thought it was this was the one thing that struck me as interesting. Do you know much behind the background of Scott before he even developed any Five Nights at Freddy's games? Do you know anything about what he used to do?
I know, like he made a couple of other games, like there's no pause button, and
I found this
he just made
interesting.
other miscellaneous games, but
Yeah,
I
he
don't
made
know
a bunch of
much.
small indie games. The one that probably he's more well known for was a game because he used to be like a religious contemporary sort of game maker. I don't know if you know that part
Okay.
behind it. He used to make, I think there's 3 games, but the main one that sticks out in my mind right now, it's called Noah's Ark, and basically you're just, I think over time you're trying to guide the animals back to the ark or something like that in a intricate platformer way. I, I don't really know how to really describe it, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, but I'm sure you can probably find it on Steam nowadays. But in basic,
Yeah.
what led him to go into the Five Nights at Freddy's thing is, I think after the Noah's Ark, or it's another game that he developed, that apparently, so I call a lot of people were mentioning that these things looked like really creepy animatronics. So,
Yeah.
this again, I'm basing this off of game theory. If you haven't heard of them, go look it up. But
Yeah, I've heard of
this
them.
is,
I
but
watched
this
some stuff.
I verified this part though, where like this was a little bit of inspiration behind it. But the one thing I found that interesting is because then he just kind of went, "Oh, really? Why don't we make a horror game based off of
Right.
animatronics?" And I really wonder, like, what his thought process was behind that. He was just like, he never really made a horror game to my knowledge of his past history, and just kind of moved on from the religious contemporary side of games and platformer, and then just changed it to a different side. And of course, obviously, it was successful. But I'm kind of curious how that developed in his mindset when he first started this.
When he first started the Five Nights stuff
Yeah, exactly.
from the religious whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I
So after
mean, I
seeing
feel
the
like
animatronics, it strikes me how he thought like, oh,
right.
horror game solved.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
surprised.
let's be honest. No one knew who Scott Cawthon was before Five Nights at Freddy's. So
Very true.
when you're young, when you're like an unknown artist, you're willing to try new things like rapidly because you don't have a fan base to please yet. Like you don't
Yep.
have anyone to answer to.
Right.
So you have a lot more freedom when when you're smaller, when no one knows who you are.
Right.
And so I feel like that gave him the artistic freedom, just not being as well known to try Five Nights. I think it was a hit and miss. I don't think he honestly expected um, anything to come from it as like
Right.
his other games. I remember I was reading something about it might have been an interview
That's scary.
where he said,
Full-on gamer read something, guys.
"Yeah, I know, right?" I think I read an interview and he said, I think they asked him like, did you know that this was going to be such like a cult classic type of game? And he was like, well, no, I mean, he just made the game, and then when he started seeing countless Let's Plays on YouTube, that's when he knew. Like, he didn't know like when he was making the game, oh shit, this
You
is
know,
going to be
yeah,
big.
exactly. You're big when everybody on YouTube is playing it. That
Yeah,
kind of seems like the popular thing now. It's not by like how many console sales you make or anything anymore. It's like how many people have done a let's play of my video game. Oh, 75,000 and counting? Oh, wow. Amazing.
oh, we're up in the millions, bro. We
Oh
have
yeah.
millions of Let's Plays on that game.
Yep. And that's why a lot of people I think got very frustrated. I was it the transition from 1 to 2, or yeah, I think it was the transition from 1 to 2 when everybody was really upset about it. It's just like everybody's playing it on their channels and it's just
Right.
way too stupid and everything. Well,
Saturated.
yeah, exactly. And I agreed when first and second game were between each other and everybody wanted to play the game. I can totally understand that and to go through your fan base like that. But sadly, I would only give credit to like a few legitimate people. It's kind of like when someone makes like an extremely inventful product in I'm just going to make a modern example. Let's say someone makes a new type of back scratcher and they patent it and everything, and this back scratcher scratches all parts of your back and also shaves your back for you.
Sounds
There you go.
sounds
Boom.
wonderful.
I'm going to invent that 2 years from now. And when I make that, Swollen Gamer, you are
I'll
not
buy
allowed
one.
to make one, but you can buy one. Yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's
Anyway,
fine.
back to what I was getting to. So everybody basically tries to make a copy of it. And that's, in a sense,
Oh
the
yeah.
same game development. Someone tries to make it without the contents of the patent and all this other stuff, which leads to basically what I'm trying to get to is, everybody if they see it successful, they're gonna mimic successful. And sadly, the boundary of originality has become a very difficult thing within our generation. And sadly, seeing especially a lot of fan games by Five Nights at Freddy's, and that's what upset me, I think, the most, is I think after Five Nights at Freddy's 2 launched, and about a month after that, it seemed to me that there was just a lot, and I mean this, a lot of just fan-made, featured, indie, regular fan games for Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the game developers aspect to try to create it, but quite frankly, copying something that's already original of itself is kind of difficult. So my shout to that would be, if you're going to create something, make it more original, step out of the boundaries and test your own stuff, because that's just one thing that always drove me nuts, because it's like, every Let's Player is now doing Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay, who's doing this game anymore? Who's doing this game anymore? How many people play Slender nowadays? Let's be honest here.
But you have to understand, this is a business, and you have to do what people are interested in. That's
True.
the only reason why people are even touching Five Nights right now. No one wants to watch Slender anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to watch a Let's Play of freaking, I don't know, some random game nobody's ever heard of.
So in a sense, you're kind of saying that, like, don't respect it to just the one individual person, but, I'll make an example. So obviously, PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, Cinnamon Toast Ken, bunch of other people. Basically, they all play the game, but they're going to play it for their audience. And that part I can respect. But the one thing I was trying to get to, and I apologize, I probably wasn't very clear on that. I see your point, though, and I agree with your point. Dang it, you made me change my opinion again. That's the second time. Anyway, so let me talk the developer side, because then I know I can have that part. So, meaning going back to, just making originality inside your own game content, just be adventurous and try something else. I mean, for example, Game Jolt had, I think on the featured section, in the first 8 pages that I looked through, I believe I caught at least, and this was, again, during the time about Five Nights at Freddy's 2, at least about 25 to 26 featured games that were fan-made games of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
And and the other ones were disregarded. They're not as important to this subject. But that's the one thing that always found me interesting, is just how this became an actual thing and how this became popular. And the other thing, some of them are well remade, but quite frankly, it's still just copying the original, and you're trying to get a better taste out of the game from a cheap sense. To me, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of fan-made, or at least of copies of fan-made games.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is a definite boundary between copying something and being inspired by something and making it your own.
Right.
Because let's be honest, I mean, there's only so much that you can do that no one's ever done before.
Right.
It's virtually impossible. There's almost 8 billion people on this earth. Chances are, if you want to do something, somebody else has already done it. I think the reason why Five Nights was so successful is because it was, at least from a presentation standpoint. I mean, yeah, we have had lots of point-and-click horror games way before Five Nights, but I think its presentation, and it was just, the niche was there. I think maybe it was the timing, like people just, I mean, the indie horror is on the up and up with like Markiplier and all these huge YouTubers, really condoning the indie market.
Yep.
And I think it was just a mixture of those things. And, of course, people are going to want to try and replicate it. And I've played my fair share of Five Nights fan games. There's a lot of them that are terrible. And there's a lot of them that are extremely well done and that really it might take the Five Nights formula, but it makes it its own game. And you also have to remember that people who are making Five Nights fan games are not commercial artists like Scott. Like, Scott made games to make money. Like, he had to rely on his own ideas. These are just like fun experiments that people try and do in their spare time. It's not like their livelihood or anything like that. So
they just throw it out there just to say, hey, I made a game. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, whoa, cool, sort of thing.
And some, like I said, some of them are bad, but some of them are really freaking good. And you have to give props for that.
Right. And I think what I said earlier about that, where obviously I can't develop a game, so for them to still make a game is still something that I haven't done, so I can at least give them
Right.
that their
I
kudos.
don't know how to do it either.
I can't develop a game, so you win in my aspect behind it, and I'm sure it's not too difficult. Last week we talked about the Unreal Development Kit was actually free right now, so if you and I want to get into making a video game, there you go. We can get the Unreal Development Kit. We can start working on stuff.
I'll start studying code, and
Let's do it. We're gonna make a game. 3 years from now, we're gonna create the next big thing that is not Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
But like you said, going back to what you thought that was great about Five Nights at Freddy's, back when it first developed in the first one, it was something that not a lot of people had seen. Like you said, point and click was a thing, but mixed together in the sense that you had it behind it. I mean, there's nowhere that you can't just run away from your problem. You can try to block it, but you were condoned in this room. You had no idea what was going on, at least when you first originally started playing the game.
Right. Yeah.
You had no idea what you were doing. You knew you worked as a security guard, and there's things out there ready to kill you, and you're just trying to figure out, do I save this? Do I save this? And as time, you try to figure out this, and then they become more unpredictable, and there's not a specific line of sequence that certain things occur. Some of them do, but some of them don't, and you're freaked out about it the whole time. There's adrenaline rushes. You're sitting there. You're ready to pee yourself. It's like, okay.
All that is appealing, man. You get an emotional response out of the player, they're hooked, man. That's a major thing. And I'll also say this. I can say with almost 100% confidence that if there was no YouTube, there would be no Five Nights at Freddy's. Like there would be no support surrounding it whatsoever.
I would agree. It'd be one of those side things that probably people around his area would sort of know. I think that YouTube has definitely become a very big thing behind, especially indie developers, other games, of course, too, but indie development has been at least just massive over the years. A couple months ago. Thing. It's great. It's great that the market's starting to grow bigger and bigger because of this.
Gives indie developers a fighting chance against AAA titles and stuff like that.
Exactly. Which is going to lead, we kind of have a transition going now for two of our other topics. The first one we're going to talk about is when you mentioned AAA. We figure we just transition to that. We've had enough fun with Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about Five Nights at Freddy's, so why you keep going about it?
Screw Five Nights, man.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I don't know if you know who the makers of Alien Isolation are. The company Creative Assembly recently announced as of the 10th of March that they will be developing another multi-platform AAA blockbuster for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. That is literally about as far as they're saying right now. According to sources that they reported, they are now posting up help wanted ads about trying to develop another game. We need a really talented developer and stuff like this, blah, blah, blah. And basically, it's now starting to get to the point where it's starting to get developed again. They really don't have a specific plot for it. People were throwing a rumor out and joking that it was going to be an Alien Isolation 2. They don't say for sure about it yet, but I can't tell you for sure that it wouldn't be. I mean, a couple months down the road, we'll probably know more, but just more or less, this was a breaking news sort of thing, per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened at the end of Alien Isolation?
I did not. If this is another spoiler alert, kick a minute ahead of this point. Anyway, continue.
I don't. Well, here's the thing. I watched an entire Let's Play of it.
Okay.
The whole game. I didn't actually play it, but what the hell happened? I was actually like genuinely asking because I forget what happened. I want to say something bad happened to the main character. Like I don't know how they would necessarily make a sequel, or where they're going to go with it.
It's one of those things.
I remember.
Go ahead.
All I remember was that the ending was very disappointing, and that the game as a whole was just. It was disappointing. Like it
kind of like watching Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis, however you spell his last name, in Due Date. I don't know if you ever seen that movie or not. I saw this last week. It's basically Downey Jr. and his wife are expecting a kid, and Downey's over in New York for something. He's got to go fly back to LA. No, sorry, he was in Texas for some reason. Yeah, Texas. So basically, he had to get to California, but he got kicked off of the plane because of his friend that he met at the airport that conveniently followed around with him, which is Zach. You know what I'm talking about? He's kind of a fatter guy. He's got a beard. I think he was in Hangover as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that.
So,
yeah. I know the movie you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
I found it funny because that is probably the first or second movie that I've ever seen where usually there's a point where like it goes to a climax and then it just goes back down in the movie and then it's like everything's solved and you're all set to go. No, this one just kind of stops at a point and goes back up, starts rising, and then gets this really, really annoying part, and then just keeps going up, and then it just eventually just drops.
Yeah.
Like,
that's exactly my problem with Alien Isolation. The pacing was horrible. There wasn't like any comic relief. It was just slow, sluggish, like trying to sneak around
the whole time that you're thinking you're gonna get killed. That's what they were basically trying to play the sense of. It's like what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but when you have a narrative, like you have to pace it. It doesn't matter what the context is.
You have to at least have a lot of. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. You have to at least have a good chunk of points so that you're not just like doing one large thing for a large repetitive amount of time and then short and then go long again, or vice versa. Go long narrative and then go short sequence and then back to another narrative or whatever it would be. Like you said, the pace from at least what I saw. I didn't see the full playthrough. I've seen about the first half of the game, I should say.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was essentially like a checklist game. You would go from objective to objective. Oh shit, something else went wrong. Now I have to go fix it. Oh shit,
Right.
now I fixed that. I have to go fix something else. That's all the game was. There wasn't hardly any story, and it just felt super like drawn out. I don't know. I hope whatever they make next ends up being better.
I agree. I definitely agree. Creative Assembly, I can't say that the graphics weren't bad though. I think it was very good. But and the other thing that we were talking about earlier was in YouTube and their subscriptions and how that they can be. The most recent rumor, now obviously a long time ago, if you remember, that they were talking about getting paid subscription services for YouTube channels. And I think some of them fell through and did it. I don't know how that went through, honestly. But I know a while back they talked seriously about it. And they had like a couple channels ready to do it. And then basically everybody was so outraged about it. At least a lot of major YouTubers kind of said, screw this, we're not doing it.
Right.
So obviously YouTube's on the side now where they're going in for the music subscription service, which you can play as your own playlist or whatever offline. Which basically is Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud, Shazam, Beats Radio.
Yeah. They want a slice, man. They want a slice.
There's so many markets for it. And again, it's one of those things that like you feel like shouldn't be a competition because there's already like two dominant players. But that's the market. I can't shoot anything for it, I guess. But what I'm trying to get to is now they're talking about again another video subscription service. This time they're not talking about the subscriber itself, like subscribe for $3 a month to example PewDiePie. They're not saying to that aspect. What they're saying for this is, the channel's still going to be free to subscribe to. However, if you pay like $3 a month, you might be able to access certain special videos that he only puts out to those specific people. It's kind of like
I see.
If you know who Matthias is, he has something very similar to it. If you support him on
Patreon,
thank you. If you support him on Patreon, they get like special videos and sometimes certain live streams and stuff that are a little incentive to support it. That's kind of what they're showing toward YouTube. Actually, almost exactly like what they're showing to YouTube. There's a couple special things that they get behind it that you go, a couple incentives, a couple extra videos, the usual stuff like that. So that's at least the idea that they've thrown around. It doesn't sound like it's been a confirmation yet. It's just been a circulating rumor that's been going throughout people. But it is kind of cool how they have it set up like this. I forgot to mention too. I just saw that that you might be able to download the videos off for offline use as well. So kind of like what
Wait,
Music Key for YouTube does.
I mean, you can already do that. But
You can already do it, but of course this is the legal way of doing it.
yeah,
Gotta love legal and copyright. Ever since YouTube got integrated with copyright infringements and everything, it's just been
yeah,
very, very, I want to say annoying, but I see the reason why they do it. It's like, it's one of those things you don't like that it happened, but it should have happened. So you're
Yeah.
kind of okay with it. That's probably the best way I could put it against.
I mean, I'm okay with it as long as it does it correctly. Like half the time, it just messes it up.
Right. So let's get into our favorite thing of this week. I don't know if this is actually our favorite thing or not. Let me establish this. Have you played Rock Band before?
Nope.
Guitar Hero. Have you played Guitar Hero?
Guitar Hero. I didn't really like it, so.
Dang. I shouldn't talk about this much, should I? I'll mutter it. Rock Band
All right.
4 is coming to
Go for it.
PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh,
Just gonna let you know that.
that's exciting.
It's the new next gen stuff, man.
I'm
It's
so
gonna be-
excited
it's gonna-
right now
It's gonna be pretty
for
cool.
that.
They're gonna have the
Considering I
same drum
don't own an
sets.
Xbox One or PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I was pretty average in Guitar Hero. So to be totally honest with you, I'm probably in the same boat as you are, but I figured there's going to be some viewers that are going to love me for saying this. So we figured why not do it and talk about something that's worthwhile. But anyway, what I was saying is they're projecting a launch for it. Now let's see. Oh, where is it? Where is the launch? Where is the launch? Okay, it's just in development right now. They just talked about it. Sounds like it's gonna be later this year. That's the only thing that they say behind it. So get your old drum sets and
Yeah.
guitars, and we're gonna jam out to some Beatles. And,
See, that's probably like the worst game we could possibly record. Because it's just
Right?
soiled with copyright music.
yeah, that's what's.
That's like impossible.
I want to
But,
make. I'm actually really curious. And shout out to any developer that does this, and please send it to me, and I will play it. If you can make a game like Rock Band 4, but not with copyrighted music, but a specific royalty-free set, either you make it yourself or there's a lot of artists that you know. If you could do something like that, that would be awesome. Just gonna throw it out there. Like if you could just get like something just really rocking. And just like a small indie developer that just wants to get his name out there and just lets it go off for fair use, that would be awesome. I'm just going to say that right now to anybody that's interested about that.
It boosts sales because then you'd have a lot more Let's Players doing it.
Exactly. So let's get out of Rock Band 4 because you and I both love that topic so much.
I got something I want to talk about.
All right, let's talk about it.
How about have you heard of did you ever play the fuck is it called? Uncharted, the Uncharted series. You ever played
I have not, but I'm well aware of it.
that? Okay.
If that
Hey,
makes
did
sense.
you hear that the fourth one got delayed
Got
till
delayed.
next year?
Yep.
That's upsetting.
Just like Grand Theft Auto 5 keeps getting delayed repetitively
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
It's-
freaking.
See, the only thing I have to respond to that is this. If you delay the game, I'm not going to be that upset about it. Then again, obviously I want to play it right now, obviously.
Right.
But my thing is, if you delay it for a long time, or at least a long enough time, I at least expect the game to be even better than it was before. I don't expect to see multiple glitches and all this other stuff. If you at least are a big name title, let me clarify that. If you're at least a big name title, like, Uncharted 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5 and even going to Alien Isolation back we were talking about earlier, at least if you're that sort of title, at least make it so it's more solid. If you're going to delay it this many times, Grand Theft Auto 5 better be a freaking gold game on the PC now because of how many freaking times that they've delayed this.
Yeah. I can't talk for Grand Theft Auto. I think Naughty Dog is an extraordinary game developing company.
I agree.
And I have no doubt in my mind that this is a necessary delay and that it's going to come out even better than what it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
My issue, at least with Uncharted specifically, is I heard that they're going to announce details about The Last of Us 2, whether they're going to do it or not,
Oh.
after they release Uncharted 4. So now that
Oh.
got delayed. So now I'm like, well, shit. Yeah,
Oh, I
I'm
did not hear
upset
that
about that.
part. That makes me mad now. Very mad. I'm so
I
mad that I
mean,
accidentally
yeah.
bumped my knee against my desk. Everything shook. So
Yeah. But
that makes me sad.
the Grand Theft Auto thing though pissed me off because for a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, they're stupid for doing it because why would they release heists and then delay the PC release? They should have done
Hmm.
that simultaneously. That's like
It
a
does.
basic marketing. Like
That's
they're gonna totally miss out on sales. Way more
well.
people would buy it if they wanted to buy it
Yeah,
to
but that.
experience on PC right away because not everyone's gonna have played it already. It's not gonna
Well,
be new.
exactly. That's their own shot in the foot, though. I mean, quite frankly, let's face facts. They delay it this many times. Either come up with a logical time span for it. Is this the second or the third time that PC's been delayed? By the way.
I don't know about PC, but dude, the IP Grand Theft Auto 5 has been out since 2013. They just came out with
Yep.
they just came out with Heist last week, you know? And they're just now coming out with PC versions. Like, what are you doing? First of all, I
Well,
mean, I don't
the thing behind it is like you re-optimize to make a PC version, like you said. Yeah, if it's yeah, if they're having freaking Grand Theft Auto 5 for you said it was 2013, right? It did come out 13. That's how long it's been.
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh
I
my
think so,
god,
yeah.
that makes it
It's
even
been
worse.
like 2
I thought it
years.
was early 2014. That's why I was just making sure. I
It
hear a
came
Google
out
search coming in.
uh hang on. September 2013.
Yep, definitely 2013.
But
That tells you something, though, and I'm sorry. That is just now that you said that, that's even twice as sad. 2 years later, you are developing and creating the freaking PC version of the game that came out 2 years ago.
right.
Really?
That they made on a computer. So I'm not sure how
Wasn't
that's
Grand Theft
a
Auto
problem.
4 like 3 or 4 years before that point anyway? Like it was a long time
I
between
don't
4 and
know.
5. So my
Yeah.
my
They
red
usually
flag
take a
behind
long
that,
time to
right? And my red flag
get things
behind
done.
that was you created 5 and now you take 2 more years to make all this?
Yeah.
Why?
There's no
You
reason
lose
for it
people
to
when
take
you
that
do
long.
that. You don't create people.
I
Oh,
haven't
there's the
touched
PC
GTA
version.
in
Hooray.
months, you
So,
know.
of course, and
But
today I
that's
was. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh, whatever. That's not even really what upset me. What upset me is they're trying to release it on PC for $60.
Of
Bruh,
course.
this is not a new game. Like you can't you
Yep.
can't expect that out of the consumer. You're
Exactly.
twiddling, you're squeezing us, you're bending us. We're like, okay, maybe we still kind of like you. Oh, by the way, you have to pay for it as if it's a brand new IP.
Yeah,
Screw
exactly.
you,
Exactly.
Rockstar. Honestly, you make great games. I love their
Yeah.
games, but they're just what they're doing right now is not intelligent.
No,
They
I
need
I
to
don't
stop.
appreciate. I don't appreciate it all either. I just I find it just stupid. And from my side, I have not played as much Grand Theft Auto as I should. If that makes any sense, I don't know if
Yeah,
there's a limit on how far I can play
yeah,
it, but
I don't know.
just it drives me nuts how unprofessional this whole process has been with Grand Theft Auto 5. When it first came out, everybody, like you said, loved it to death, and then of course the next gen console came out in 2014, late 2014, and now we're talking about the PC version, and it's like you really unless correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't added that much to it. There's the first person view for the next gen, and then there's the heist for the PC version. So you added
Well,
two
there's
things.
heists all across the board.
Well, yeah, sorry, they have heists all
Um,
on all systems, but
and yeah, so basically for like the current gen, like Xbox One and the PS4,
hmm
and for I'm assuming PC, really the only difference is that you get first person mode and the graphics are better.
exactly.
And that to me is 100% not worth $60. $50 at the maximum. It's a 2-year game. You can't expect people to pay that.
Right.
So,
Unless you have some like free DLCs come with it, or there's a bigger
well,
expansion
that
pack coming along or
yeah.
something, then
I mean
I won't
that
be
they
as
do
upset
well.
about it. But it very much depends. So
Yeah.
let's talk about our last topic for the day. Maybe our last topic. I don't know.
Okay.
Depends if we get creative or not. So BBC. Have you ever heard of BBC before?
Yep.
I have too. Launches
Dang.
flagship to make a digital initiative. What does that mean? It means cut your coax cables, kids. It means that we're going digital, snitches.
We're going internets.
We're going to the internet. They are currently making a movement where they would like to put their content and convert it over to the interwebs. And time has definitely changed. And they are starting to realize that the market's going to the internet side of things. And the internet is definitely winning. So, cable might be dying if this actually becomes a successful movement.
I'll tell you one thing. We got rid of our cable.
I've
I don't have
hardly
cable.
touched cable. I mean, every so often I kind of hear it for background noise, but for me, yeah, most of my stuff's internet,
Yeah.
so I don't have to worry about anything from my side. So
Yeah,
that's usually
no.
my non-concern, if you want to say.
Right. No,
So-
I'm just saying, like, the internet for sure is taking over regular TV programming.
Did you also know that they will be making a TV series on BBC, which will be based off of Grand Theft Auto?
What?
It is an actual thing.
No,
They will
I
be
did not know
creating.
that.
BBC
That's
will
weird.
be. They don't have a time. I didn't read a timeline for it, but it sounds like they're going to be creating a Grand Theft Auto-esque TV show, and I guess it's going to be a thing.
Why?
Because
That's
they
weird.
want to. I don't really know the reason why BBC. I just heard the rumor that they were going to create a Grand Theft Auto TV show, and I was like, "Holy crap, that would be awesome!" They're probably going to delay it for 2 years, though. Just letting you know that.
Probably.
Good old BBC. But I like that they're doing the movement, though. I think it's going to be pretty entertaining and exciting, personally.
BBC. I think BBC is a pretty good network. So
I'll be looking forward to it down the road. It just depends on when they officially start this. It sounds like it's going to be in development and kind of slowly trickling over a couple months to a couple years span. So you'll be seeing your favorite stuff, and you'll be having a fun time. So, Mr. Swollen Gamer, I appreciate you coming in today, good sir, as my co-host. And I'm sure everybody absolutely loves you whenever you're on here because they're like, "Oh my gosh, wow!"
Wow.
That's literally their reaction. "Oh my
Those
gosh,
red headphones are so
Wow.
big.
your headphones are so big, Mr. Gamer."
You know what that means, right?
It means they have big ears.
Yeah. Actually, I don't really.
That was
They're
terrible.
normal.
Yeah,
So.
they're normal. We don't like to expose our ears. That's public indecency for our podcast. So.
Oh yeah. We're just a bunch of podcast
People.
whores. Yeah. All right.
I expect
Well-
money after this podcast. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining. I can't talk today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And thank you, Mr. Swollen Gamer, for tagging in today. Again, if you ever are bored, you're more than welcome to stop by here. And I'm
Thanks
Jay.
for having me, man.
No problem. Good sir. And I'm Jay, wishing you a wonderful day.